Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the July 30th, 2022 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE, and today's special podcast will be dealing with tonight's WWE pay-per-view, one of the big four original WWE pay-per-views, Summerslam. This is also a notable pay-per-view because this marks the first pay-per-view the WWE is having since Vince McMahon, CEO, he has stepped down from the company and retired amid some sexual allegations against him for hush money payments and so forth. So yeah, this should be interesting. I'm sure a lot of the creative storyline development for this pay-per-view tonight had already been, decided by Vince McMahon, and my guess is most of this year, at the very least, will all be his sort of ideas and programs that he's come up with and worked on with his writers. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there is a noticeable turn or shift in the company. I've definitely had some varying opinions of the man over the years, and I'm not, quite honestly, that sad to see him go, even though he did do a lot for this industry, the history of this industry. This company furthered it and made it into a global company, globally recognized company. But that said, he's been a pretty ruthless businessman over the years, done a lot of not very respectful things. So I won't get into all of that with Vince right now, but anyways, this is definitely marking a historic shift now, and this is a historic pay-per-view tonight. So SummerSlam, this is the first time that I can recall in many years this is being held in July. Not sure why they moved it back early. Perhaps because they have that additional big stadium show in Wales coming up that they've added to the calendar this year. So I'm not sure if that's the reason or not, but either way, we have it on a Saturday in July this year, and tonight's SummerSlam has 8 matches on the card. The first of them is a no disqualification match between. It's a tag team match between the Mysterios taking on Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day is still a pretty new faction, and they recently tried to convince Rey Mysterio's son Dominic to join their faction. So in typical fashion with a developing faction like this, one that's only been going for a few months now, it would make more sense to give them more heat, give them more juice by making them more evil seeming, especially since they're a heel faction. So I think that Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day will be victorious tonight over the Mysterios, even in spite of the fact that the WWE has recently celebrated Rey Mysterio's 20th year anniversary with the company. So even in spite of all that, I still think Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day will be victorious. So that's my prediction for the first match. The second match on the card is between commentator Pat McAfee and Happy Corbin. It's interesting because both of these guys used to be in the NFL, in years past, and now they're both find themselves in the WWE. And Pat McAfee, and this is now, I think, his second match since he's come on as a commentator, so I'm not sure if he's deciding he wants to be an athlete or not, or again, or what, but either way, I think if meanwhile, Happy Corbin is a full-time performer for the company. And Happy Corbin, I think he's a pretty great heel. He's been very solid the last many years. He hasn't had any big titles yet. It'd be nice to see him get a push and into competing for some of these top titles. So I'm rooting for Happy Corbin, and I believe Happy Corbin's going to get the win over Pat McAfee tonight. Probably in a dirty, controversial way, but that's how Happy Corbin will operate. So my selection is Happy Corbin to win that match. The third match on the card is between Logan Paul and The Miz. And, much like we see with WrestleMania and other Big Four pay-per-views in the WWE calendar, we see a lot of celebrity appearances, guest appearances for this event, and then they'll disappear probably for many months or for a year or whatever. Logan Paul, I don't know if he's going to continue to be a part of the WWE or not, but until that happens, I don't see him losing any matches because he's being treated like, you're a guest here, a celebrity, so here you can come and have a win for us. And so Logan Paul is my selection to defeat The Miz in that match. The fourth match on the card is for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, with the champions, the Usos, taking on the Street Profits, featuring special guest referee Jeff Jarrett. This pay-per-view is hailing from Nashville, Tennessee. And on a side note, Jeff Jarrett is going to be involved, I believe it's tomorrow night, on on Ric Flair's final wrestling match ever in a tag team match. So Jeff Jarrett will be opposing Ric Flair tomorrow night. Meanwhile, he's being a guest referee in this match tonight. Don't know other than that why there's any reason for him being there, but either way, I've been saying for many months now that I think the Usos are going to hold their belts as long as Roman Reigns will hold his titles. The whole bloodline, they're not going to lose them. I think it's going to happen around the same time with each other. And I've also stated for a few months now that to me the writing on the wall was saying that Roman Reigns was going to hold on to the belts until the Clash at the Castle, this big stadium show I mentioned already that the WWE is having in the UK, in Cardiff, Wales. It's going to be the first one they've had, by the sounds of it, since the SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium in 1992, the famous one that had Bret the Hitman Hart versus British Bulldog, that classic match. But anyways, I digress. I don't see the Usos, like I say, losing their belts until it's right around the time when Roman does. And if I don't believe Roman's going to lose his belts until then I have to go with the Usos coming away with their belts tonight somehow. So I'm saying the Usos will retain the WWE Tag Team Championships. Moving on to the fifth match of the night, it is for the United States Championship, and it is the champion Bobby Lashley taking on Theory, who is Mr. Money in the Bank, the youngest Mr. Money in the Bank winner in history. I gotta say that Theory, the push they're giving Theory right now is so strong, it would be foolish for them not to give him a belt to go along with for this ride. So, sorry Bobby Lashley, but Theory's going to win this United States Championship tonight. Theory's been saying on programs recently that he's threatening to cash his Money in the Bank contract after the main event of tonight's SummerSlam, but I don't believe that's going to happen yet. I still think the original plan of what I suspect will happen with Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns fighting at Clash at the Castle, that's going to happen. I don't think the cash-in will probably happen until at least after that. That's the feeling I have, but you never know. This is wrestling after all, and they like to throw curveballs. But either way, it would be very, very nonsensical, as far as I'm concerned, for them to be building Theory up and not make him win this championship. So my prediction is Theory to win the United States Championship. The sixth match of the night is for the Raw Women's Championship, with champion Bianca Belair taking on Becky Lynch. This is going to be a great match. These two have been feuding for a while. This is Bianca Belair, her home. She's got the home crowd here in Tennessee and Nashville, and I just don't think she's going to drop it tonight to Becky Lynch, because she won it back at WrestleMania, and I don't see Bianca losing it yet. But this is one of those ones where I would be worried about betting on Bianca Belair, because that's what the company loves doing, is throwing curveballs in there when you expect a hometown girl like Bianca Belair. She should win in front of her home audience and give a great reaction. They like to, turn things on its side and sometimes go with the unexpected reaction. But I'm going with the happy finish. So I'm going with Bianca Belair retaining the Raw Women's Championship. The next match on the card is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and that is with champion Liv Morgan taking on Ronda Rousey. Liv Morgan just recently cashed hers in by winning the Money in the Bank and then later cashing it in. I just think it would be in bad form by the company to reward this talented performer by giving her the championship so recently and then taking it away. So I got to believe that Liv Morgan will retain this belt tonight, probably in a once again, like a bit of a controversial, dirty way, but she'll, I think, be able to sneak out a victory and retain her belt tonight. So Liv Morgan's my pick. And then the final match of the night is for the undisputed WWE Universal title in a last man standing match with the champion Roman Reigns taking on Brock Lesnar. Well, I think we already know where my prediction's going with this one, considering what I've already been sharing beforehand. Yes, I believe Roman Reigns is going to retain the belt until Clash at the Castle. There's been hints being dropped for months now that Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns will compete at that event. It just seems like the right time after a super long championship reign by Roman Reigns. That would make sense to have just a humongous pop of an explosion at the Clash of the Castle with Drew McIntyre winning it. So Roman Reigns is my pick, probably with a little help from his cousins, the Usos and Paul Heyman, but Roman Reigns is my pick to retain the undisputed WWE Universal title. So I guess that means the only championship I see changing hands tonight is going to Theory. So as a quick recap of my match predictions here, I'll run down. I have Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day winning the first match. Happy Corbin, Logan Paul, the Usos, Theory, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Roman Reigns. So that's it. Hopefully SummerSlam will be exciting. Hopefully it'll produce some surprise moments. Hopefully some great matches will emerge. I guess we will see. Thanks very much for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel below if you enjoyed what you heard. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.